I have my NC750 for a couple of years now, so of course I wanted to test out the new automatic transmission from Yamaha, the Y-AMT, and honestly, something's really surprised me. Okay, here we go, the first ride on this new Tracer 7 GT with the automatic transmission. By the way, this is a Yamaha demo day, so that means that we are having a group ride, so these people are all on these bikes for presumably the first time. First impressions. The seating position is actually pretty similar to the NC. Now the only difference that I can tell straight away, in the NC you sit a bit more in the bike, and this one you sit more onto the bike. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how it feels. You have an adjustable windshield in front of you, which is also great. I would still say that the GT windshield on my NC is a bit taller. I'm actually quite surprised at how similar this feels to the NC. There is something nice about the Tracer, and that is the fact that you can adjust your seat height. That's something unique, you cannot do that on this NC. I'm going to put on the screen how low you can actually go. This bike also has cruise control. I'm going to be testing that out later. That is of course something that you don't find on the NC, and a lot of people complain about that. Now this is city traffic, so it's very slow. The bike feels really steady, really smooth. I'm in riding mode D, which means that it is the most frugal of the riding modes. D plus is the one I'm going to change to later, and that one has a full power. It hangs on to the gears a bit longer to get the extra performance. Let me just give a little blip here. Okay. As we all know, the NC has about 15, 20-ish less horsepower than this Tracer 7. But the amount of torque is a bit different. Here on the Tracer it has actually at 6,500 RPMs, and on the NC you get maximum torque at 4,750 RPMs. Let me just get a bit of a feel. I have to say that the steering is very light. It feels very, very light and nimble. In terms of maneuverability and agility, it kind of feels similar to the NC as well. Even though this weighs like 10 kilograms less than the NC, the DCT version, it's comparable. The only thing that I will say is that it steers a bit lighter, like the actual steering. Like definitely like when you're doing slow speed maneuvers, that feels just, you know, a bit smoother, a bit lighter. I think this one comes in at about 214 kilograms, while the NC is more at like 220. Okay, so Pillion comfort on the highway and your regular commuting roads. Now I did not have the chance or the opportunity to test that out on the Tracer 7 GT, but I feel pretty confident if I'm telling you that it will probably be very comparable, if not slightly better, on the Tracer 7. Why do I say slightly better? Well, the actual Pillion seat had some more padding on the Tracer versus on this NC750. The Pillion triangle, I guess you can call it, by that I mean like how the knees, the hips and the ankles are positioned. It's pretty much the same than on the NC. So I personally think that if that is the reason or the only reason why you are wondering whether you should get the Tracer or the NC, it doesn't really matter. Don't let that influence you, because it's going to be pretty comparable. The biggest difference when you're coming from, because I took the NC here, when you're coming from the NC and get onto this Tracer is of course the brake lever feel. That's something that I already discussed when I was doing the video on the newest NC, the 2025 and up, which does have an improved brake feel and 2 disc brakes instead of the 1. So, you know, the lever here, you can definitely feel it is way more responsive than the one on the older NC. Stopping power, yeah, it's better. It's better than the NC, honestly. You have more stopping power in this Tracer than on the NC. I can feel the front dive when I just slightly apply the front brake. The NC doesn't do that until you're like way further on the brakes. Oh yeah, definitely. Suspension-wise, an upgrade, for sure. This is, I'm not gonna say it is night and day difference, but you can just feel that you're riding a motorcycle that has a more premium suspension. Let's test the suspension. Yeah, man, the suspension is definitely an improvement over the NC, for sure. This Tracer has a 17-liter tank, whereas the NC only has 14 liters. The average fuel usage right now is 4.6 liters in like city traffic. If we take a look at that, I'm going to just straightforward tell you that the NC is more frugal. Now, like I said, you do get a 17-liter tank here instead of the 14-liter tank, so I'm guessing that the mileage will be quite similar. As a beginner rider, I would give the identical advice as I would on this NC750. which is, you know, go test one out. Having an automatic transmission is very nice, but you do miss out on some of those things that you need to learn on a manual bike. There is no clutch, there's no friction zone, there's nothing. You're basically just on a motorcycle that will go and stop as you please, but you're not really learning to ride, if that makes sense. In terms of weight, it weighed like 10 kilograms less than the NC. It felt very easy to flick around, so it's not too heavy. So if you're wondering about that, you shouldn't. I really want to try out this cruise control, but I forgot to ask how it works on this one. Oh, is it doing it? I'm riding on cruise control, boys! Oh man, this is nice though. Oh, this is really, really nice. It doesn't feel super stable though if you do it like this. It wants to pull to the left for some reason. If you release the bars, it wants to pull to the left. Okay, so we're in cruise control. If we want to cancel it, just brake, I assume. Yes, we brake. That's odd. You just go from 70 to a... Oh no, it was 50. Whoops. Yeah, cruise control, like I said, it's really handy to have, but for me personally, I wouldn't... It's not something that I actively look for in a bike, if that makes sense. I've had enough of this D mode, which is the more chill mode, I guess you could call it. You can kind of compare it to the standard mode on the NC. So now let me put it into the D plus mode. I've been talking so much that I've lost my group. So, you know, it's basically the same when it comes to manual shifting. You have these paddles here that you can use to shift up and down whenever you want to. 4th, 5th. They won't let me go into 6th, but that's the same on the NC. Okay, so this is... Yeah, man, it's really insane how similar the power is to that of the NC. Let me just go down into 2nd, maybe. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's where you feel the power. If you really get into the power band, you can tell that this has more power than the NC750, which is of course to be expected, but you do have to get into that RPM range. If you're below that, it feels just, you know, just quite the same, to be honest with you. Oh, we're going, oh, okay, a bit of highway here. Okay, I'm gonna try and do a little pull for you guys, if it's possible with this group, of course. Safety first. That's too bad that there is a lorry there. It does shift fast though, even in the D plus mode, which is supposedly the fastest mode. It doesn't really let you hang on to those gears, especially if you're not actively accelerating. Okay, yeah. Let me try this. This is where you feel the biggest difference in power versus the NC. But it's not like the NC is a slow bike compared to this, but you do feel it. You do really feel it. Now I want to talk about the RPM range that you're in. If you're riding 120 here, you're definitely higher up in the RPMs than on the NC, which is to be expected, but still. When it comes to the feeling of the motorcycle itself, that does not mean that this one feels more boggy or weird. It's pretty much the same experience. But yeah, it cruises in higher RPMs on the same amount of speed than the NC does. These Yamaha blinkers do take some getting used to. On the NC you have the simple one button blinker, and here you have these automatic blinkers. You can also cancel them by yourself, by just pressing the direction again, but yeah, I don't know. Just when you're first getting on the bike, that takes a bit to get used to. Bit clunky still. Yeah, the gear changes do feel more clunky than on the NC, I will say this. And if we're going to compare this Tracer 7 to the 25 NC and up, then the NC is gonna win. In terms of like smoothness on gear changes, yeah, the NC is gonna win, for sure. There is one other thing that I briefly have to touch on. I did not test out the Tracer Y-AMT in its manual mode. So when you use the pedals and you shift by yourself and the automatic transmission doesn't interrupt. Or chooses the gears for you. I just simply forgot to do it. So I talked to the guy from the dealership and he told me that if you put it in manual mode and in sport, it really does feel punchy and the gear changes are very direct. Because this has a dual clutch DCT He told me that that is actually the biggest difference, and that's what makes the Y-AMT so enjoyable to ride in manual mode, is because it is a very direct input and feel that you get from operating the motorcycle that way. So I'm sorry, but I forgot to test that out. Yeah, the gear changes are more precise on the DCT than on this Tracer with the Y-AMT. So if you're comparing the systems, the automatic transmission from Yamaha to the Honda one, I would honestly say that the Honda automatic transmission, the DCT, is superior to this one. That's not to say that this is bad. This is not bad at all. But I feel like the DCT is just a bit better overall than this one. Okay, let's talk pricing. For this Tracer 7 GT, you are paying, at least where I'm from, around 12,500 for the automatic version, whereas on the DCT, the Honda NC750, I think that's more around 10k, but it's less than 10k even, it's like 9.7k. This GT does come with heated grips. I'm not going to use them. It has a slightly taller and thicker windshield, I believe, than the regular Tracer. Now, if we're talking about the regular Tracer 7, not the GT, but the regular one, with the automatic transmission, then I think you are getting a comparable experience to the NC750. Then again, if you're looking at Tracer 7, you might as well get this GT version because of the extra things that you get. Like, it's definitely worth an upgrade. If you're just looking at the Tracer 7 and you have the money to spare, get the GT version. Okay, so now that I am done testing the Tracer 7, there are only two questions on my mind, and I think they might probably be on yours as well. That is, first of all, would I buy the Tracer 7? You know, having owned this NC750 DCT for quite a while now. And personally, I would have to say no. The thing is, it's just too comparable for me to the NC750. I also think that the looks, that the NC has a bit better looks than the Tracer, but of course that is completely subjective, and you might disagree with me, which is fine. The difference in power is noticeable, but only on highway speeds, like not really when you're just commuting or going about your day. So that didn't really sell me on the Tracer 7 either. The only major things that are definitely noticeable and that will improve your riding experience are, of course, the cruise control that the Tracer has, the upgraded suspension, which is definitely noticeable over this one, and then, of course, the brakes. The brakes are way stronger than this NC. But those are pretty much the only reasons. Now, if you're looking at the Tracer 7, the normal standard version, or the GT, as a bike in and of its own, and you don't care about comparing it to this NC, then that's a different story. The Tracer is a lovely, amazing bike. The automatic transmission from Yamaha works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The seating position is super relaxed. It's a very comfortable, relaxing ride. It feels agile in the corners. It does have decent acceleration. So yeah, you will not regret purchasing that Tracer, not at all. It's just, if you really want to know what I think about if the Tracer is superior to the NC750 that I have owned for a couple of years now, my answer is maybe. And most of the time I like to give definite, clear yes or no answers, but I just can't here because it is so subjective. Like I said, I would not upgrade. Some of you guys might want to upgrade from an NC to that Tracer 7, I don't know. If you're feeling unsure, take one out for a test ride. I can just tell you from the experience that I have right now that it didn't sell me. I wasn't sold on the Tracer 7. I felt just as happy when I got back on my NC after that test ride. So that is something to keep in mind, I feel like. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.